What's up, everybody? It's Jason Cruz here once again with another episode of The Legal Submission. And this time we take a look at Major League Wrestling, MLW, as it takes a stab at WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment, in a lawsuit that was filed in California, in the Federal District Court of Northern California, to be precise. Major League Wrestling, which is based out of, I believe, New Rochelle, New York, sued the Stamford, Connecticut Pro Wrestling conglomerate, basing its allegations on interference with a prospective contract, as well as the more salacious violation of Section 2 of the Sherman Antitrust Act. So let's focus on the Antitrust Act first, because it seems as though we get one every year or so related to the world of fight sports, combat sports. We know from the UFC antitrust lawsuit there are claims of antitrust violations on the part of the UFC, meaning that the UFC has either bought up the market for professional fighters or usurped the market for other MMA promotions. There was the lawsuits filed by Top Rank Boxing and Golden Boy Promotions against Premier Boxing Championships, the PBC, related to ways in which the PBC attempted to allegedly take away the boxing market from those other promoters. Now here we have a similar situation. Major League Wrestling claims that the WWE has been predatory in nature, done things to prevent MLW from entering into the market of professional wrestling. Now, in addition to the antitrust violation, there are claims for intentional interference with contractual relations, as well as intentional interference with prospective economic relations. So basically, all those two deal with the fact that MLW claims that the WWE interfered with their opportunity to enter into a contract. And namely, this is in relation to Major League Wrestling's opportunity to get a TV deal with Vice Media. Now, it was advertised that MLW was going to be a part of the Vice Media programming lineup in 2021. They had been producing replays and accompanying it with its most popular series, Dark Side of the Ring, on Vice TV. But and they were going to come up with a live show, which they did, one live show this past fall. But there was no continual live shows from MLW. MLW has really relied on smaller outfits to broadcast their television as well as YouTube. MLW sets out 3 specific episodes in which the WWE interfered with its potential to air its programming. Now, the first one is when WWE found out that MLW and Vice were in agreement to air episodes of its live content. Now, a WWE official, according to this complaint, Sarah Levison, called a Vice executive and told them that Vince McMahon was quote-unquote pissed about Vice airing MLW content and wanted Vice to stop doing so. The alleged allegation here from MLW is that this influence by the executive to call Vice and for the WWE to exert its leverage over Vice prevented MLW to air on Vice TV. What influence did WWE have over Vice? Well, Dark Side of the Ring, again, the most popular show on Vice TV, which gets pretty good ratings, airs, or a part of the episodes contain some WWE content. Now, the belief here, you can infer, is that the WWE would no longer allow this Vice TV driven show to air WWE content. And for the most part, it's interesting that Dark Side of the Ring does not specifically state that it's working with WWE or there's a partnership there, and maybe there's not. But one of the last episodes it featured Jerry McDevitt, the WWE's longtime counsel over at I think it's the old Preston Gates law firm, but now it's KL Gates, excuse me. And they featured Jerry McDevitt when they did an episode of Dark Side of the Ring over the Vince McMahon steroid trials, and the feature was very painted McDevitt in a very good light. So you could infer that there was a relationship there. But notwithstanding that, the MLW agreement with Vice TV never got off the ground, aside from one episode this past fall. Now, there was another episode in which WWE found out an agreement which MLW was going to enter into a lucrative agreement with Tubi, a California-based streaming company owned by Fox Corp. Now, WWE found out that Tubi was going to be airing or entering into this contract with MLW for content, and they threatened Tubi similarly as WWE threatened Vice, that it should not be entering into a contract with MLW. The Tubi episode is interesting simply for the fact that WWE airs WWE Friday Night SmackDown on Fox Network every Friday night. And you would think that the WWE would stand back of the Fox network and Fox Network owned service from doing whatever it wanted to do. But it's clear here that the WWE believed that they had leverage over Tubi to influence a decision on the part of that particular company. Whereas the WWE is licensed with Fox, you'd think that Fox would have more pressure over the WWE, into which it could do whatever it wanted to with its programming, but that didn't seem the case here. Now, it's interesting how MLW lays out the market power for WWE. In the complaint, it says that WWE's estimated total revenue for 2020 in North America was over $764 million. And it compares that to AEW, which is, you could say, is the upstart young company with only $64 million of estimated revenue. An interesting comparison considering that in the ratings, AEW Dynamite has done much better than the WWE show NXT. Yet, Friday Night SmackDown and Monday Night Raw still produce ample enough viewers for it to have 10 times, or maybe less than AEW has less than 10% of the estimated revenue of WWE. Now, there's an argument here as far as AEW goes, because I actually thought initially when I saw this lawsuit, how could there be an antitrust claim here when you have others in the market, such as AEW, All Elite Wrestling, coming on the scene and becoming popular and penetrating the pro wrestling market? Well, MLW addresses that situation where it says that in comparison to AEW, WWE's annual total revenue for 2020 was $764 million. AEW's, according to this lawsuit, their estimated revenue was $64 million, a huge disparity. the combined average annual value of WWE's U.S. TV rights for its programs Raw and SmackDown is alone $470 million. This relates to the licensing fees all across the world. Just it's robust growth, advertisers it has, things of that nature. In contrast, AEW, which only has U.S. TV rights right now, the Dynamite show is $43.8 million. Maybe because Rampage is so new, it came on the scene in August of 2021. MLW does not account for that. I don't suspect a huge bump from the ad revenue or TV rights revenue for AEW Rampage on Friday nights. But here, MLW is just making the case that, yes, AEW is a part of the market, but still it's WWE that controls a huge percentage of this particular market. Controlling the market does not necessarily mean it's a violation of the Sherman Antitrust Act. It's about the company in which what actions they are making to obtain this particular part of the industry. Now, having a monopoly is not per se a violation. It's again what is being done to obtain that particular portion of the market. One of the things that MLW might hope for here is that the U.S. Department of Justice steps in and evaluates the market share of WWE in this particular market. Under the current administration in the U.S., the Department of Justice has been more forthright in investigating these types of monopolies to ensure that nothing is done in violation of particular laws. Here, in the complaint filed by MLW, they are stating that since the WWE, according to the lawsuit, has approximately 85% of the market share of the relevant market, it is taking over a lot of the company. So what does the Sherman Antitrust Act specifically state? Now, Section 1 really deals with multiple parties conspiring to do something in violation of antitrust laws. Section 2 deals with a single actor. So WWE, as MLW claims, is attempting to unlawfully monopolize the market through different means. And here we've already seen what they're attempting to do is basically negate MLW's penetration of the pro wrestling market through intimidating multiple outlets from airing its content. The question will be whether or not the proof MLW asserts in its complaint realistically goes within the structure of the Sherman II Antitrust Act. Now, definitely they do have a claim for interference with the prospective economic relations and prospective contract, in that they're claiming that WWE called up Vice, and it was actually Stephanie McMahon, according to the complaint, that influenced Tubi from not airing MLW. But do those give rise to an Antitrust Act claim? What to expect next? Well, since we have two East Coast companies suing in San Francisco, you would suspect that the WWE would bring a motion to change the venue of the case from San Francisco to Stamford, Connecticut, where the business center is for the WWE. The reason why they probably tried to file in San Francisco is because of the belief that Northern California federal district courts are more sympathetic to plaintiffs in that particular venue. If you follow WWE litigation, you'll know that WWE tries to move their lawsuits into Stamford, Connecticut, most notably the class action CTE head injury lawsuits that were filed a couple years back against the WWE, in which the WWE at this point won. And that case is still pending an appeal, but the WWE had those cases dismissed after it changed the venue to Connecticut federal court. Now, from there, you would probably expect WWE to file a motion to dismiss the lawsuit, claiming no interference with the contract or economic relations, no antitrust issues. As far as addressing the antitrust issues, you probably expect the AEW to come up once again, and probably other independent wrestling organizations, as far as to negate the argument that WWE has unfair control of the particular market. You could cite the fact that AEW has gaining popularity in the television ratings, that it's signed a multitude of WWE talent that were let go by the company, things of that nature. Now, as far as it goes with respect to media deals and things like that, that'll be an interesting thing to figure out with respect to the WWE's side of the story. Did it actually influence Vice? Even if it did, was it illegal to do so? Same thing with respect to Tubi. Was this something that was done due to the fact the WWE was being predatory in nature in trying to get rid of potential competitors within the market, or was it just business dealings by a third party that it did not want to go through with the deal? We'll follow this as the litigation continues. This is Jason Cruz with the Legal Submission. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel to get some more legal submission information, as well as particular interviews with the interview. Also follow me on MMApayout.com. We'll see you later.